Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be on Rey Mysterio Hall of Fame. So it's January, which means Hall of Fame month. You guys know traditionally, if you've listened to me for a while, that I'm generally not a big fan of Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame months. Hopefully this year will change that. We're going to be taking a look at Rey at 6-star bronze, and I think with some caveats, he's quite good. However, if you don't have the things needed, maybe not so much. Anyway, he's chaotic, Hall of Fame era showboat. Um, he is a trainer. Leech gems do 75% more damage. Blue moves start with 2 more MP. I'm assuming this is targeted for Tory Hall of Fame. He's got the Hall of Fame link. All color moves start with 4 more gear. He does have 2 gears. The first one, in my opinion, much more important than the second one. Second one I don't think is really going to make a big deal for how I would play him in most cases. So, but 1 gear will make a big difference. All color moves start with 2 more MP. And if you get a bonus gear, or the second bonus gear, so 3 total gears, then cross break gems will also do 200% more damage. So without gear, you just have the stock one. First gear, 2 more MP, and third gear, 200% more damage on those cross breaks. We're going to jump into the move sets here. I do want to note I have an ultimate strap on for this. One of the moves at the end, we're going to put an ultimate plate on. He is way better with an ultimate plate. And I do have a maxed yellow move damage medal, a 200%er. I am using Fury 2. Not move damage. So yeah, that's worth noting. Anyway, let's get in there. We're gonna run the West Coast Pop 10 MP finisher. I think a lot of people are gonna like this finisher. I don't love it. Deal 1.98 million, almost 2 million flat, and force your opponent to skip their turn for 2 turns. Backpack Sleeper, 7 MP sub, randomly place 40 sub gems and do 243k damage 3 turns, remaining turn into crossbreak. And the Mysterio Kenrana, 7 MP blue again, 178k damage, choose 7 gems to make into yellow gems. Why I say the 2 MP gear is important is that takes away needing more MP with these 7 charge moves in feud. So like in this case, you wouldn't need Steiner. Any 2 blue MP would get you started. Steiner's just in there to get some more damage on the sub. Then I put Roman in there for an extra turn on the sub too. So it's doing 2.4 mil. Honestly, if you put a yellow move damage trainer, 20% of 2 million is like 400k. 1 extra turn on the subs is certainly more than 400k, as you can see there. And then our truth for 40% on the finisher. So that's the route we're going. We're going to go against Walter on the road for all of these. I do expect a lot of people to like the finisher with the stun. That's traditionally been the case, so I don't expect that to change. The finisher with that move damage medal is doing 6.3 million. People wondering like, whoa, what if I use takedown 2? What if I had 100% move damage strap? Basically, if you had the best stuff for him, you could add 4 million to the finisher. I'd be doing 10. If you just added takedown, you'd get not quite another 2 million, so it'd hit for 8 million if you were curious. Alright, so sub. Also, in feud this build, you would start with 1 yellow MP. So you're going to need 8 MP after this, which is not necessarily a gimme in feud. Unless you put like Gunther's hand on, then you'd need 5. We have 2 perks, so we have 5, but you would need 8 in feud for this. Just keep that in mind. I'm not going to choose 8 here. We would blow up the board. I could, actually. You know what? Why not? Because you'd have to. We wouldn't be loading this without cascading for sure. So let's just blow up the board. We subbed. They'd be drained in theory, so nothing wrong with that. 1.7 million. If they were to recharge their moves, you could hit the sub again or pop the finisher since it does have the stun. I think this on the road is going to keep Walter down though. So it's not bad, right? I mean, that's not terrible at all. Like I said, I expect a lot of people to like that build set. You don't necessarily need anything crazy. No big deal if you don't have Steiner. He's the rarest thing in this one, along with a 200% move damage medal. Right? Yellow. Okay, next up, triple purple. This one is in there just so I can show you the one purple move. It's not bad, though. It's just, I don't think I would use it. So triple purple. And of course, with the crossbreak gems on the board, you can see why the second gear would do stuff. That one had like 30-some crossbreaks. Basically turns them into like 2 times multiplied gems, but not exactly like that. But it makes them hit harder. So, Spring Body Crossboard, 7 MP, 266k damage, heal for 2.9 million. Tilt-A-Whirl Head Scissor, 190k damage, make 22 random gems into Crossbreak, 619, 175k damage, 21 random gems into Multiply Gems of Strength 4. They're all 7 MP. So again, the 2 gear would help here. This loadout, you do need Santa at 17k to start loaded in Feud. 4, 6, I'm wrong. You don't. 4, 6, 1 for your turn is 7. You don't need Santa. My bad. Any 2 purple MP personal work. I have KO on there for the move damage. If you have NOD Rock, he would add 1 to the multiply. He would be better. You don't need Santa, so if you had Mem Rock, that would be better. Otherwise, since we're blowing up the board and it's on random gems, the multiplies, went with him. And then Gunther, because a lot of you have him. And then the multiply gems do 60% more damage, so. So no reason not to hit the springboard this turn. Very unlikely we won't refill. Put your cross breaks out. You just need 1 to land on a match pretty much like this. Unfortunately, though, we're not going to get any multiplies on the purples. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we have 5 on the board, so. And then you just take your swipe, blow up the board. You can see we ended up short. And that can happen. That definitely can happen. So for this one, you could put any of the match 3 gems, get 3 purple MP plates. And then you would avoid that. It can definitely happen. And what do we hit for, like 5 million? Not really a big deal. You're healing a bunch. It's just a little finicky sometimes with the board. Not really. Most of the time you're going to have enough, to be honest, but that can happen, so I'm glad that it did. But I think the majority of the time it won't. And now I need my cross break swipe. Obviously this time refill easily. Again, 4 million. The cross break gear would help that a little bit. The MP gear would definitely help, because then you could put Matt on, or if you have her, Sherry. And that would make that hit harder for sure. Alright. Easier way to run this, in my opinion. A little bit better. Just put this move in that gains purple MP, and then we, right here, 6 MP yellow. Running Tornado DDT, 182k damage, increase your purple MP by 8. And that lets us get another multiply gem on there, which for some reason I didn't save this loadout. No big deal. I got one that's close. This one was close. Okay. I didn't save it because I can only have 4 loadouts and I need more. And previous will work better. There we go. So in the place of this, now we can get an extra multiply from bronze, start with the purples loaded. We're going to keep Santa. Again, Mem would be better, and we're going to keep Gunther. So this should hit a little bit harder because our multiply gems are 1 bigger. And again, you can see just with having the gear, it's going to give you more flex on the trainer option. So I do think the gear is the one gear is actually fairly important for him, and gets more so even later. But yeah, I think the gear is definitely a big deal for him. It's on the prize wall right now, the first gear. Not super expensive necessarily for gear. And it's like, I want to say like 8K of the New Year's globe ball thingamajiggers. So that was a little bit better, 4.8 reduced to 4.2, a little bit stronger, not crazy, not going to turn one anyone with this. But you're probably going to win in a couple cycles, so... Solid for random multiply gem boss battles like we had this last one, of course, and then any of your multiply gems that had landed on blue would also have been buffed. So solid utility for that. Usually though, when it's not a specific color, it's not going to be like the best boss build, but solid that way. So that's worth mentioning, right? Also with all the cross breaks, it'd be fine for a cross break boss. Okay, next up, triple yellow. I expect a lot of people maybe to like this one. I don't. So keep in mind, again, without the gear, this would not be loaded turn 1 unless you have Brawn. So if you have Brawn, you would put Brawn where Asuka is here. Anyway, the moves you haven't seen is the Diving Hurricane Rana, 6 MP yellow, 210k damage, make 20 random gems into pyro gems, modify all gems above it into yellow gems when broken by you. If it's a striker, first steal up to 2.977 million health, and then do that. Okay, so it's important to know, though, without the gear, you're going to miss out on the 2 million extra damage that Asuka's adding, because that's what Asuka adds, and you would also need Brawn. So without the gear, you're going to hit for 2 million less than this on turn 1, and if you don't have Kofi and Brawn, you can't get this off turn 1. So I'll show you what it would look like without the gear. And I can show you what it could potentially look like with the gear. So that you're going to get hit without the gear with this build. But you can, in feud, you can see the finisher's 8.3 million. It's not bad at all. Again, if you had the perfect move damage strap and setup, you could get to around 12 million. That would basically at 6-star silver, 13 million high end. So if you want to compare him to like Undertaker has a 3.5 million finisher, raises 1.98. So so this one, there'd be you really have to rely on the board. Do these land where you get a match, right? So we have a yellow here and it'll give a purple there, so that's fine-ish. Because it wouldn't be loaded without the gear if you want to have the big finisher. So you'd have to do this. Now everything would be loaded. Also, the finisher doesn't break these, so it's not really doing a heck of a lot for you. So if you're going to hit the finisher because you need a swipe to reload, you would want to hold this back, right? So since we're hitting the finisher, you wouldn't want to put these out because then you have the stun. I think it's going to keep Walter down here for sure, though. Right, so, and that's what you would do turn 1 with the gear, is you just hit him for 8 million. Not quite enough, but then you'd have the stun, and then you'd hit that and recycle. Because in feud, you know, the kickouts are boosted so much, you're not going to keep someone down with an 8 million hit. Now, at 6-star bronze, if you had all move damage stuff and you were hitting for 12 million, you would definitely keep 6-star bronzes down, but not at 6-star silver. So that's why it's not my favorite, because you're going to have to cycle it, which you can do. So I do expect a lot of people to like that potentially. Okay. This moveset, you need stuff. And this is where he's really good. And I'll run it 2 different ways. I'm going to run this like as if I didn't have gear, and then as if I did have gear. It's a little bit funky. You've seen all the moves. We're going to put them together. It does require Brawn Breaker if you want to do this. You can't do it without Brawn, and you're going to need a skill plate. Without the skill plate, simply not going to work. It won't hit hard enough. You're not going to have a good time. It's not going to recycle. In my opinion, I would not do this without the skill plate we're going to use. So again, you've seen all the moves. We're just going to put them together. We don't really need the finisher. That's just in there for, you know, funsies. Now, it's worth noting you need 6 yellow MP to hit this move twice. With this, Brawn gives you 4 MP, Santa gives you 5, your turn gives you 6. Oh, we're actually 1 blue short. Wrong trainer. Wrong trainer, Will. Gotta use Beth. So the graphic is wrong. You'd be 1 short on the blue. I apologize, guys. There we go. Now you'd have enough with Beth so the blue is loaded on turn 1 and the yellow is on turn 1. Then if you make a 4 match or a row break with 4, and you have Hogan on here for 2 yellow MP on a matchy match, well, any color, that would give you 6. So you can drop this twice. I'm pretty sure people have an idea of where I'm going with this now. Whenever you make 4 or more pyro gems, increase all of your gem damage by 100% and your yellow by 500%. So we're going to jack our yellow gem damage up like 1200%. And probably blow the whole board up. So you could do this without gear, like I said, and then I'll run the gear setup afterwards. And again, Beth for Cena, my apologies, guys. You're going to put these out. Now, if you didn't want to use Santa, or, Hollywood for some reason, or didn't have them, you can make a row break up top, especially when the board cooperates, like this, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put 2 more right there, and that would give you your 6. So you don't need Hollywood. I play super safe, and I prefer just to not, you know, because sometimes it won't work out necessarily, or I don't know. You probably don't need Hollywood, but whatever. We cascaded. That's the other thing that can happen with your row break. And I totally did that wrong anyway. Shoot. I wasn't thinking. So I didn't. That's right. That's why I was talking. Anyway, this is really bad at the moment. So we're going to hit the finisher, and I'm going to play this right. Awkward. That's the reason why he's on there. You need the extra gems. Oops, excuse me. Too much on a small brain. Okay, that's not impressive. You need to set up a row break on the top and a row break on the bottom. And that's why Hogan was on there. I'm like, why did I have him on there again? Because you need the choosing gemmy things. One more time. This time, hopefully, without the cascade, too. Okay. So we want a row break up top, which we have, which is good. And then we need to set up a row break on the bottom that we swipe into. Here we go. And then we swipe into the row break. Hopefully, see, this worked out pretty well. We're going to miss 1 row, though. Or not. We got it anyway, and you can see that's 13 million reduced to 12.9 million. 12.9. Right? I'll do it one more time. Since, just so you guys can see. It does have the cascade risk with the row break. Not huge, because you can drop 3 on a row break and still be fine. You have to drop 6 in, which of course I can do when doing a video. No problem. So you can do this without the gear, and it obviously still hits hard. And again, that was Beth instead of Showboat Cena. The only time you'd run into trouble is if there was like 2 yellow right in the middle here, then you wouldn't be able to set your row break up, right? So that's why the gear is ideal and only needing a 3 match, because you can get a board where you get completely hosed. And you will, eventually. And also, you're losing more of your pyro gems. The more pyro gems you have out, the better chance you have to get for maximum damage, because we missed this column here, right? And I mean, so then just swipe into it, boomy boom, there we go. And you can see when you miss a column, it's still hit for 10 mil, and that's with a 30% strap. So if you have a better strap, great. If not, not so great. But it does require the Piper plate and brawn. Okay, so what if you have the gear too? All right, I'm glad you asked. And again, you could do the row break and you wouldn't need Dom, and you could go for more damage if you wanted to. I don't usually like that. I like playing safe, so that's what we're gonna do here. But you could just as easily put yellow gem percentage there, you know what I mean? And then not have to, and then make your row break if that's how you wanted to roll. You can hit harder for sure, but I like playing it safe. And to me, this is really, this moveset is his kind of his saving grace in this era of showboats we have that are so strong and hit so hard. Can he find something to give you a reason to use him if you have some of those other good ones? Of course, if you don't have the good ones, you know, like the really, really good ones, like, I don't know, I think I might like Waller more unless you are able to run this setup, right? Either one of these setups. Otherwise, I think I might like Waller more. So, and I won't say most people, but a lot of people got Waller. So this again would be with the gear. You'd be able to do a 3 match with this. Also, when you do a 3 match, you can save your pyro gems, make it much more likely to get them on the bottom. I can just see cascades happening. There we go. This one's being stubborn, so we missed 2. There, we got most of it. And we hit for 10 million. It's just safer. So if you have a big gem damage strap, I think this is the way to go. Now, there is something you could do too with the row break if you have Drew. That's going to make it a little more consistent on the pyros. Instead of throwing 22 and 22 for 44, 23 and 23 for 46. So there'd only be 3 potentially not covered, but then you're back to having to do a row break. And so I think it's not as good. Anyway, I think that's enough for Ray. I think there is stuff here for everybody. Depending on your playstyle preference, maybe you like him, assuming you don't have this plate we're using here, right? The Piper plate. I think your choice, if you get him, between like him and Waller, would probably depend on playstyle preference. You know what I mean? If you get the gear, I think it gives him a lot more flexibility. So speaking of said gear, let's take a look at that while we're in here. And I'll show you guys where the first gear is. Again, I think that's the important one. So I think with the gear and giving him the extra flexibility in all the builds, it definitely improves his value, right? So if you go in here, it's 7,800 for that gear. It's cheaper than his 500 shards, but of course, if you don't get the 500 shards, you're probably not recruiting him. So it's cheaper than Dusty gear, same price as Silver Hall of Fame, cheaper than Godfather gear. Honestly, that is probably the main thing on the prize wall to get, other than tokens. And if you're missing some of the Hall of Famers, you can gamble on the bag. But his gear is going to be a big difference maker for him and help him out a lot, in my opinion. As for where he compares to other showboats, you know, you can use the Piper plate on like Apollo, and Apollo hits crazy hard. He's not as good as Undertaker, obviously, And I do want to remind people these are just my opinions, and when I'm comparing them, it's not me saying necessarily the card is bad or not as good or is not good. It's just not good, maybe relative to the field. Sometimes when I say that, doesn't mean it can't work for you. And as far as what I consider good, as far as feud goes, it's all about speed and safety. So is it consistent? Is it safe? And is it fast? So to me, Undertaker is the fastest there is, and he's super safe. So he's my number one. Yes, Regal can hit way harder, but he takes more setup. Anyway, Apollo, Taker, Regal, LA Knight, maybe with his gear, I don't know. But the setup is super easy. It's incredibly safe, and it's quick. If I had his gear, I'd probably say LA Knight over Ray. Sheamus is probably close, but if you have the Piper plate, I think Ray. You know what I mean? Melo's super interesting. If you have a lot of stuff, Balor could be interesting, but he could cascade, so I don't think he's necessarily faster. Anyway, other than like the very, very tippy top of Showboat, if you have a Piper plate, I think Ray's there, right? But if you did get Waller, or maybe you have Nakamura and you're comfortable and like their play style, then maybe it's not as important to go all in on him, and maybe you get some of the other stuff instead. But I do think he's going to be a really good addition. Also, that gear will help a lot for boss battle. And while I don't think he'll be insane at any particular boss battle, I think he'll be good at a lot of them. There's a lot of different builds you can run. So while he may not be the tippy top of Showboats, I do think he's very good, especially over the Piper plate and get the gear. Hopefully that helps, guys. Also, keep in mind I'm missing a couple Showboats now. I think obviously Seth is better, and then is it Samu? I always forget. Is better as well, right? Because I'm missing those two Showboats. But other than that, and like the Regal, Mellow, Taker, he's very, I'd say him and Apollo can hit harder than Ray, but very similar-ish in how they're doing it, for sure. So yeah, I think he's better than HBK if you have the Piper plate. So best Hall of Fame Showboat, yeah, I think I'm fine saying that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Good luck this month. Happy New Year's, guys. I took most of Christmas off other than a few videos. I'm still busy with stuff this week. Maybe I'll stream this week and do some videos, but next week I should be back to more normal. So thanks for watching, and good luck out there, guys. Yeet.